When it comes to mobile games with high-end graphics, it's much easier to find online titles like Wuthering Waves or Arknight's Infield, which just recently launched. But when we talk about offline games, Android usually focuses on smaller ports. However, there are some exceptions, and that's exactly what we're talking about today. Top 15 the best mobile games with perfect graphics. So drop a like and let's get into it. Let's start this list with a relatively old game that still delivers incredible visuals and is often overlooked. Let's talk about Trials of Mana. The biggest difference in Trials of Mana is that you don't play with a fixed party. There are 6 playable protagonists, and right at the beginning you choose 3 of them. 1 main character and 2 companions who provide support. Each character has a unique playstyle and personal motivation, and this completely changes the game's story. For example, Angela has unique interests and a deeper connection to the game's lore. As you progress, you can also change your character's classes. The game presents you with a choice. Follow the path of light focused on defense and support, or the path of darkness focused on attack and destruction. It's also worth remembering that this game is a remake of a 1995 classic, which was a huge success in Japan. But SKULLGIRLS is often described as a cult classic. It's a fast-paced 2D fighting game with an absolutely unique visual style, and that's exactly why we're talking about it now.
Enough!
The first thing that grabs your attention is the art style. The game uses fully hand-drawn frame-by-frame animations, resulting in a level of fluidity that's rarely seen in modern games. It blends anime aesthetics with a distinctly hand-painted look. Unlike other fighting games where the team size is fixed, SKULLGIRLS lets you choose your approach. You can play as one powerful character or build a team of 3 more fragile fighters. It's an unusual mechanic, but one that works extremely well. Many people don't realize this, but SKULLGIRLS also features strong online support, allowing you to fight other players and even unlock new characters. The story follows several fighters competing for a powerful artifact, each driven by their own motives: revenge, duty, or ambition. This one is exclusive to iPhone users, and it feels almost like an offline Genshin Impact or even an offline Zelda. Let's talk about OCEAHORN. It's insane. Action-adventure RPG that made a massive technical leap compared to its predecessor. Here's what you need to know about this journey. Unlike the first game, which had a top-down view and is available on Android, OCEAHORN 2 is a fully 3D open-world game with a free camera. The story takes place 1,000 years before the first game, working as a prequel. You control a young hero in training, preparing to become a Knight of Gaia. And honestly, it's impossible not to make comparisons. The game borrows heavily from Nintendo's modern design formula, and unlike Link, who usually travels alone in OCEAHORN 2, you're often accompanied by 2 allies, which I personally think makes the experience even better. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Mobile is the smartphone version of the classic game that started the famous Storm franchise on consoles, and now it finally arrives on mobile. The game focuses on the classic era of the series with young Naruto. You relive the story arc that goes from training with Kakashi all the way to the final battle against Sasuke at the Valley of the End. This makes the game feel a bit dated, but at the same time it delivers the most authentic classic anime experience. You can freely explore the Hidden Leaf Village in full 3D, jump across rooftops, and take on missions that recreate iconic moments from the anime. The game features 25 playable characters, including the Sound 4 as support, plus 10 additional support-only characters. One important point that deserves attention and was heavily criticized is the lack of online multiplayer. Considering that multiplayer battles are a core part of the Naruto Storm experience, this absence is definitely noticeable. A lot of people completely overlook this game without realizing how beautiful and charming it actually is. Let's talk about My Time at Portia. It blends life simulation, farming, and most importantly crafting and building, but it goes far beyond that. The game is much deeper than it first appears. Unlike other games in the genre where the main focus is just planting crops, in Portia everything revolves around your workshop. Your father leaves you a rundown workshop, and your goal is to become the #1 builder in the city. You take commissions from the town hall and local residents, building everything from small tools to massive bridges and even transportation systems. The game gives you an incredible amount of freedom and delivers a very engaging life simulation. One of the most interesting details is that it takes place hundreds of years after the fall of modern civilization, making it a post-apocalyptic game in the cutest way possible. I absolutely love this kind of dark and unsettling visual style, so let's talk about a very interesting and beautiful mobile port called Little Nightmares. Imagine a fairy tale written by someone who had a terrible nightmare after eating way too much before going to sleep. That's the vibe. The game takes place inside a massive, submerged, and mysterious ship known as the Maw. It doesn't feel like a place made for normal humans. Everything is distorted, dirty, and unnaturally oversized. It's a location designed to feed the most grotesque desires of its bizarre guests. You play as Six, a tiny girl wearing her iconic yellow raincoat. She has no weapons, no superpowers, her only tool is a lighter. The main goal is to escape before you literally become food. The game is heavily focused on stealth, where your only options are to hide, run, and survive. Did you know there's a Harvest Moon game exclusive to Android? It looks really good graphically and is surprisingly unknown, so let's talk about it. The premise is a classic of the genre. You're tired of the fast-paced city life and decide to return to your childhood village called Alba. The village is in decline, young people are leaving, and it's up to you to revitalize the town, attract tourists, and convince former residents to come back, turning Alba into a prosperous place once again. The biggest difference in this version is how much emphasis it puts on both its life simulation and farming systems. You can plant a wide variety of crops, including the classic Natsumi-style seed mutation, and take care of cows, sheep, chickens, and even horses, just like you'd expect. But this time it goes even further. You can build friendships, get married, and play a huge role in helping the community rise again. When it comes to racing games on Android, especially if we're talking about graphics, there's no way to ignore Grid Autosport. Grid Autosport is considered by many to be the gold standard of simulation racing games on mobile. And it's not just a mobile title, it's a true classic on consoles and PC as well. The mobile version is one of the rare cases of a full console quality port brought to smartphones. That's exactly why it looks so good graphically. It includes all DLCs, and only more powerful devices are able to handle the weight and complexity of its gameplay. The game sits right in the middle between simulation and arcade. At the same time, the physics are demanding. If you accelerate too hard through a corner with a rear-wheel drive car, you will spin out. With over 100 licensed cars and more than 100 original circuits, this is easily one of the most complete racing games available on mobile. When it comes to a Genshin Impact style offline experience on Android, this might be the closest you can get. Let's talk about ASTRIS. It's a science fiction RPG that blends 3D exploration with an extremely dynamic turn-based combat system. The story takes place on a planet called Alindo, which doesn't rotate. That means one side of the planet is always in eternal daylight, while the other is locked in permanent night. Even though the combat is technically turn-based, it demands quick reflexes and real-time strategy, making it surprisingly engaging. You'll need to master parries, dodges, and even chain combo attacks to succeed. Between battles, you explore large maps, solve environmental puzzles, and collect materials for cooking and upgrading equipment, all wrapped in beautiful visuals and a game that is fully offline. Epic Conquest X is the latest entry in Gakko Games' indie action RPG franchise, and it didn't get the attention it truly deserves, so let's talk about it.
Round slash! Triple edge!
This game introduces its biggest mechanical change so far. In previous titles, you would choose a single character to play each stage. In ECX, however, you control a team of up to 4 characters, working almost like an action RPG similar to Genshin Impact, with real-time character switching and team synergy. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world, but with a much lighter tone and plenty of humor. The story takes place centuries after the events of Epic Conquest 2, bringing back familiar characters while also introducing many new ones. Visually, the game features far more detailed 3D models and much smoother combat animations compared to earlier entries. And despite being fully 3D and brand new, it's well optimized and runs smoothly on mid-range smartphones. When Minecraft exploded in popularity, every game wanted a piece of that success. That's when Square Enix stepped in and created Dragon Quest Builders. If you enjoy building but feel lost when there's no clear objective, this game is made for you. In the original Dragon Quest, the villain Dragon Lord offers the hero a chance to rule the world together. In Builders, the hero accepts the deal, falls into a trap, and humanity loses the ability to create. You wake up centuries later as the Builder, the only person left in the world who can still build and craft. Your mission is to reconstruct destroyed towns and teach people how to create again. Even though it features systems inspired by Minecraft, the game stays true to its roots. It has structured missions and plays like a true action RPG, just like every Dragon Quest game. From time to time, monsters attack your town, and it's up to you to have built proper walls and traps to defend it. We're talking about another Dragon Quest game, but this one is completely different in terms of gameplay. Let's talk about Dragon Quest: The Dark Prince. The The biggest highlight here is the story. You play as Saro, a character longtime fans will recognize as one of the franchise's greatest villains. Saro is cursed by his father, the Monster King, making him unable to harm any creature with demonic blood. Seeking revenge, he decides to become something like a monster master, training monsters to fight on his behalf. It's a classic villain origin story told in a surprisingly engaging way. The battles are turn-based, but you can either give direct commands or let your monsters act on their own based on custom tactics. One of the game's standout features is the monster fusion system, which works incredibly well. The mobile version runs at a smooth 60 frames per second and delivers a near-perfect port, making it an excellent experience on smartphones. This is one of the most visually impressive offline games on the Play Store, and it's also an indie title. Let's talk about Bright Memory Mobile. You play as part of a scientific research organization known as the SRO, sent to investigate an ancient substance capable of resurrecting the dead. You control Sheila, who's tasked with uncovering the truth, although the story itself is pretty confusing and mainly serves as an excuse to blow things up and admire the graphics. Unlike games like Call of Duty, where combat is mostly about shooting from a distance, Bright Memory blends gunplay with close quarters combat. Your character has a mechanical arm that can unleash special powers and even summon an energy blade to take down enemies up close. The game also features a scoring system that encourages you to constantly switch between guns, melee attacks, and special abilities to keep your combo multiplier high. We're talking about mobile games with incredible graphics, but honestly, how can you say these visuals aren't beautiful? Let's talk about SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. The story begins when SpongeBob and Patrick buy a bottle of mermaid tears, a wish-granting substance sold by the mysterious fortune teller Madame Cassandra. They end up making a forbidden wish, tearing apart the fabric of reality itself. This creates the Wish World's themed alternate versions of Bikini Bottom that you must explore to rescue your friends. At its core, it's a classic 3D platformer. The big difference here is the huge variety of costumes, all incredibly well done. What truly shines in The Cosmic Shake is the love and care put into the original source material, from the original voice acting and soundtrack to the character outfits, including Mermaid Man and even Caveman SpongeBob, for example. Animus. Standalone is probably the closest Souls-like experience you'll find on Android, so let's talk about it. Unlike many mobile games that focus on open-world exploration, Animus is structured around stages and arenas. You won't be wandering for miles. Instead, you enter a specific area, fight smaller enemies, and soon face an imposing boss. The entire focus is on technical combat. You need to study enemy attack patterns, know the exact moment to dodge, and carefully manage your stamina bar. The game also offers upgrades and equipment to strengthen your character, along with an extremely punishing difficulty where a single mistake can cost you the entire run. It's worth mentioning that for some reason the game was removed from the Play Store, but it's still possible to play it through other means. For an older mobile game, it still holds up remarkably well, both graphically and in terms of gameplay. And that's it for today. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which game deserves the #1 spot.